who is going to win the third game and finally move on going into the top 8. And now we have a Wraiths on the side of, I think it's switched here with Medieval playing Wraiths and Adel is playing the Veiled Temple Aphelios deck, so with PNZ. And now an early start here for Medieval going into the Hapless Aristocrat into the Cursed sorry, what is that? Ravenous Butcher, right? For 4 damage on turn 1, that has to be painful.
Yeah, I mean, look at this deck right here. It's all about fearsome. It's all about attack. It's all about a really, really early game aggression. And Adel's hand is just slightly slower, but if he ever pulls off the Fang at the right moment, I think that is going to change the game for Adel. The Fang is going to heal him so much damage, and all he has to do is just control Medieval's board slightly, and he could be able to be a little bit more comfortable moving forward as well. And there we see a Dehu Endure from Medieval. Adel actually has the Hush to actually answer to the Endure as well. But looking at his hand, 3 Endures with it's just gonna be so aggressive in the late game as well. So I think Medieval is kind of cool and chill at this point of time. He just wants his unit to be traded off with Adel and then finish off with a Dehu Endure with an Atrocity. That could be his game plan moving forward too.
Yeah, I think the Endure this early isn't exactly what Medieval is looking for, especially that I think only 1 creature has died as of yet, and that is the Hapless Aristocrat during the turn 1. Of course, there is going to be some block here coming in from Adel's side, possibly blocking one of the 3/2s with the Mountain Goat, and we are going to see Solari Priestess invoke a card here in just a second, and he is picking up Meteor Shower, and that's going to take care of 2 more creatures on the side of Medieval. And he has a choice here if he wants to chump block with him with the Solari Priestess to save off some 3 HP, because you need to be saving HP at this point with the Myth Straight decks being so aggressive. Of course, Adel doesn't have a clue that he is quite brick with triple Endure this early into the game, and I think we are going to see a drop with the Fangs on this turn to try and catch up some HP, and a crucial Stalking Shadows here coming in from Medieval, and that's going to help him find some more creatures for the early game to start pumping up his Dehu Endures. And he picks up a Stalking Shadows, but it comes up quite a dud with Ravenous Butcher being the only choice there, and he picks up another Atrocity. This is an atrocious hand from Medieval, but Adel here doesn't have a lot of answers as well. Opting to pass the last turn was, I think, quite questionable. Would you have passed in that situation, Moonboy?
Well, at that situation, passing over there might not be too ideal. You're a little bit behind against your opponent. So what you want to do is you might want to catch up just a little. As of this point, he could go for the Aphelios and then go for that Calibrum if he ever chooses to, just to control a little bit more on Medieval side of the board. But have seeing 2 Stalking Shadow firing off by Medieval, but at the same time not seeing him putting down any units now is a little bit fishy. But at the same time, he has to respect that Medieval's game plan is that he wants his unit to be sacrificed, he wants his units dead, and he has to be a little bit more careful on combat as well, so that he doesn't really build a really huge Dehu Endure. As looking at his hand right now, Adel has no way of handling an Endure. He has no Hush or any sort of hard removal for this Endure, so he has to play. Maybe he's playing just a little bit slightly more conservative at this point of time, and a Vigor immediately going for that Aphelios, taking out their Butcher. And as we know, Medieval at this point, he has no way to play that Butcher in his hand, and the Endure is just so far away from being placed down at the moment. Adel has to capitalize on this moment and just go all in, go wide, and just finish off Medieval before the Endure comes down.
Yeah, and I think Adel has a good read here on his opponent's hand, because you're actually right. You talked about it being fishy on turn 4 that the Endure player didn't develop anything, so that has to that has to give you an idea of what the Endure player has in his hand. So it's probably a couple of spells or like a lot sacrifice creature, like something like Ravenous Butcher that we see in hand. But you might also be guessing that he has Blighted Caretaker, but he can't put it down because there are no good targets. He Medieval here draws, of course, an Unspeakable Horror, and that's not gonna do much because he can't actually trigger the Nightfall because Ravenous Butcher has to come down with a target creature, sacrificing a creature on your own board. And Adel recognizes that now, I think, and he goes for a much more greedier play with Severum going onto the Aphelios, and he is going to heal for 7 here, going up all the way back to 20 HP. Medieval here on 13, he can put down an Endure, but it's not gonna be super impactful in this situation because I think the Endure is around 4-4 or 5-5 if I'm not mistaken, and another Unspeakable Horror unfortunately going into Medieval's hand, and it's again like the situation the previous turn, he is not able to proc that cleanly, and the first Endure now comes down. It's a little bit tiny, not how we are used to seeing this card come into the game. Usually we see it 10 plus power, we see it at 5-5, it's not threatening at all, and we Adel here just going to use a Gravitum and it's gonna stun the Dehu Endure. And are you going to use he's probably going to use Unspeakable Horror, one of Adel's creatures, just to hopefully get or fish a creature from Unspeakable Horror to play into the game. And a Doom Beast now coming in from the card generation of Unspeakable Horror.
Yeah, as of right now, Adel actually went for a full attack with Medieval having so much mana open, and he actually tested for a it kind of just tell Adel that he has no Vengeance in his hand right now, so all his game plan is just going to go wide. He already has the stun on that Dehu Endure. He is not going to go for an attack the next turn as well. So here we see Adel driving such a huge board moving forward. It's going to be what, 6, 9, 10, 12 damage coming in from Adel, and he also has that Mystic Shot in his hand as well, so that's gonna be lethal. And a gem coming in, and the open attack over here is gonna be so huge for Adel. And knowing that Medieval has no answer for this board, we are likely to see an atrocity, but no, he's going in for the full attack, and it's gonna be GG with just a Mystic Shot.
Yeah, that was a huge attack with the Gravitum onto the Dehu Endure, and now he goes for a full attack, bringing Medieval all the way down to 1 HP. Yasuo emote now coming from Adel. There is a Unspeakable Horror, but that's not going to be enough for 2 damage going into the Nexus from this Mystic Shot. He does do the Unspeakable Horror onto the Cobra there, but it's just exactly